Welcome to the Early Bird Special with your hosts, Carol Montgomery and Julia Scotti. And now, here's Carol Montgomery.
Hey, everybody! Hey! Oh, there's my husband. You can't really. He's walking out because he's the fabulous. Um, he's the fabulous chatter. He's the announcer. So, hello, and we were doing a little redecorating in my room, and Julia loves talking about how we do product placement. So I almost dropped this, and then I decided I should keep it with me. So just in case anyone from Apothic is watching, we love this wine. I get these by the half dozen now because the one thing about quarantine is it has brought out my alcoholic genetics. So thank you, Apothic Red. We are still in quarantine, as you know. We are. I don't even know what day it is, but I do look forward to these because I get to engage with some of my really good friends. And I'm going to bring on one of my really good friends now, my co-host. Welcome, Julia Scotti. Woo!
Yay! Yay! Oh, look what I happen to have in my hand. Look, it's
What is
I
it?
can't
What
get
is
it.
it?
It's little breath savers.
Oh,
There you
look.
go.
So we have this. So breath savers and Apothic.
To hide the alcohol breath.
To hide the alcohol breath because that's what's happening, Julia. I mean, I have gained an enormous amount of weight, and because I just eat and I drink. That's all I do.
I don't know if I've gained weight. I can only go by my pants.
Okay.
If after washing my jeans, I can, even if I have to struggle to close them, I know I didn't gain weight because I know how much struggle's involved. Pounds per square inch.
Yes, but Julia, can I just say something? What the fuck are you still wearing jeans for? Okay, nobody's wearing jeans. I just ordered more yoga pants because I'm never going back.
I have yoga pants, and I was gonna go for a walk after this was over. After this was over, I go for a walk. Yeah,
Yeah.
So I'm gonna walk. I was gonna go biking. I should show you my helmet, but it's over there.
Okay.
And I got elbow pads too.
Oh, look at you going back. Well, I think I might have mentioned this. One of my good friends, the young lady that did the photos for our special, Melanie Westlock, she's up in her. She has a place upstate New York. So I asked her if she had, because I know that she had always raved about City Bike. The City Bikes in New York. Yep. So she and her husband have memberships, and they're letting us ride, and thank God for that. Because
Aren't they going away? I thought they were getting rid of city bikes.
Oh no, I don't. Well, maybe, but right now, that's the great thing about I think New York City right now is, even though there's not a lot of people, it's all New Yorkers. So all the people on the city bike are New Yorkers.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild. So I recommend biking very much.
So you want to go ahead? Yes. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask you how you doing. How are you holding up?
I got unemployment finally, so that came through. So I should be getting money soon. That's a blessing, Yeah. And I've been writing, and trying to write stupid crap online and work on my play. It's just starting to come along. And we were talking about this earlier, this story about Dr. Fauci, this thing.
Yes.
We got to get to this.
Yes, we will. So let's bring on our special guest.
Yes.
Excuse me, I'm burping up because I'm also drinking sparkling ice.
Well, I've got coffee.
So, Anita Wise, we've both known forever. Probably one of the best stand-ups in the business. And
amen to that.
And she had left the business for a while, and then we reconnected. She'll probably tell you when. A while back, and she was coming back, and we were all like, "Anita's coming back!" So let's bring her out. Let's bring out Anita Wise. Hi.
Hi, Neats.
Am I in frame?
No.
Which way do I have to go?
You need to go to the left.
Go to the left. There you go. There you go.
A little bit more. There you go. All right.
I thought I was in the right spot.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
Hi,
good.
guys.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah. It's pretty
enjoying
wild.
Enjoying the brave new world.
Well, this is it.
It's exciting, actually. It's a new frontier here.
Have you done any of the Zoom shows yet?
Yeah, I did my first one that was stand up Friday for Jim Mendrinos and Dina. Bella Laika. I don't know what her last name is actually yet, but she and Jim and I don't know who else, they're doing the Underground Comedy Festival.
Right.
And they're raising money. And so I did about 10-minute stand-up set, and it was pretty nerve-wracking.
Could you hear the audience? Could you hear the people?
You could hear a few people, which was great. That was good, but I was also they wanted, like, right now I've got my iPad clipped to the back of a lawn chair, a stack of lawn chairs, actually, just to get it at the right height, and this, which I'm not used to, I'm always pulling them out when I'm running or talking. I don't run, but when I'm exercising. I'd like to run. It just does. It looks more like a slow motion. It looks like I'm in slow motion, which I am. Anyway, so I had it all, my lawn chair thing all set up, and then I got like a little notice that, or maybe it was already there, but I read that they wanted us to stand up. So then I had to find a new spot to do my comedy, which ended up being, I propped my iPad up on a shelf in the linen closet. And so, I stood in the linen, and I honestly, I felt like I was flailing and careening down the hill.
She has the most. I'm sorry. She has the most interesting house. I went over there one day to shoot an audition in her garage. You remember that, Anita? When we were doing the Gypsy Woman? It's great. It's like 300 years old, this house that she lives in.
I've been to the house.
Have you been out there? Oh, I love her house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting because I know Julia said she did a Zoom show, and you've done one. I like doing these type of shows where we're talking and we're just, being interviewed or stuff. And like speaking of the Underground Festival, I'm part of a seminar for about the business of comedy on Sunday.
Yeah.
So there's Steve Hofstetter is actually, somebody was telling me that he has a thing called the Nowhere Comedy Club, and supposedly you can hear the audience, and they police it like a comedy club. So that's the one that I've heard is the closest to a real stand-up comedy room. But I don't know if it's that I want to just be able to touch the people, or I want to be able to make eye contact with it. It's got to be. I haven't done one yet, so bravo to both of you ladies.
It's I think we should get used to it and learn it.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Please don't say that.
Well, no, comedy's not going anywhere. I mean, there have been court jesters since medieval days, and I'm sure hundreds of years earlier. There's always comedy.
Yeah.
And it will happen again. It's just in the format that we grew up with, tightly packed rooms and us spitting on the people.
I actually have a theory about where that's going, and I think when this is all over and we do go back to live comedy, I think somehow there's going to be a hybrid where they can shoot this show out over the internet at the same time it's being done live in front of an audience, which would help the club owners generate more income, which would in turn theoretically pay the comedians more. So you could work a smaller room.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
People subscribing to the show. So
well, you heard about because I've said this in the last few episodes. We have to watch about Broadway, and you heard about Broadway, right? That Broadway is not coming back till September 6th. Mm-hmm. At least they're giving refunds till then, and then they still haven't figured out how they're going to, because Broadway is so tiny. But I got something last night from a gentleman that I'm in discussions with, possibly bringing women of a certain age to Vegas, and he sent me something. The MGM resorts, they're going to change their whole thing in Vegas. Like, they're going to have social distancing on the slot machines. Like, it'll be like every 3 slot machines, and they're going to have barriers and guards. I think what's going to happen for us to come back with comedy clubs, and they're going to have to, those barriers now that are in the supermarket, where when you get there's like a plastic. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
I hope not.
Well, but we're never going back to, like Anita said, the tightly.
You really think that? Do you really think that?
Unless we get a
Not
vaccine.
for a while.
Oh, not for a while. I'll give you
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
forever, I don't know. I can't imagine that being. I mean, I think of this sort of as like post 9/11 when everybody was on high alert, and we're still in that phase of being on high alert. But I think at some point, once they get the vaccine and once this thing is treatable, things will go back. It's just going to. You're right, though. It's going to take a year or so.
Yeah,
Or
because go ahead.
Until they invent the helmet, the little plastic helmet, the bubble helmet.
For us or for the audience?
For everybody. Everybody,
For
a
everybody.
little bubble helmet.
Right.
Bubble
Plastic.
helmet.
You can peripheral vision, whatever, filtered air.
Right.
And eating on, they're working on that, I guess.
Wow, you've been alone too long.
Mary Beth Mooney says hi, and Mary Beth, just so you know, she's asking, has Vegas opened up? No, they haven't opened up yet, but this was just something from the Hollywood Reporter, because I was literally having a discussion with a gentleman from Vegas, and he had a bunch of shows that had to close, and everyone is trying to figure out what's the new normal. So that's why I mentioned that. So I just wanted to clear that up for.
Well, did you
Mary
see
Beth.
that the club I just saw before we came on the air, a club in Florida is doing shows again, or just open like live shows? Yeah, or was it Florida, or either Florida or Texas? Yeah.
Well, I know that the Zanies in Nashville is looking to open soon, because my producing partner, is doing a show down there. And they were supposed to do it. I think they were supposed to do it in June, and now I think it's going to be in July. But they're planning on opening up. So basically, we have to wait and see what other people are doing, because you can go with, yeah, we're opening up and we're doing this and we're doing that, but if the people don't come out.
Well, that's the question. Would either of you go to Nashville to do a show at this point in time?
I would.
Sends a mask, yeah.
No. I'd wear a mask. I mean, I'm literally
on stage.
Not on stage, but what I would do is I would wear the mask up until I got onto the stage. I would wipe down the mic. I would wear gloves. Because I'm actually, seriously, I know this, everyone thinks I'm being funny, but I would probably buy a hazmat suit and wear it wherever I fly until we know what's going on. Because we're all in the high risk group, ladies. Yay!
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna shrink wrap.
Yeah.
That's it.
Women of a high risk comedy. Yeah. That's what we're going to call it now. Well, so anyway, Julia, we usually aren't this much talking about the fucking horrible situation. But Julia she sent me this beforehand. So we do two things. This will be the second thing we do now with Fauci. But the first question we always ask our guests is, who would you like to sleep with, Andrew or Chris Cuomo?
Or Mario.
I know you do this, and I still didn't think of any answer because.
Okay, well that's
Andrew looks a little like a turtle,
Really?
I mean, yeah, a little like, like he looks.
He's no Mitch McConnell, but yeah.
No, I am. Anyway, and Chris is a little
young.
Well, that's not a drawback. But no, he's full of himself. I don't know. It's a little intimidating, and so it's hard to think about that.
Okay, well then, Julia, why don't you talk? Let's talk about Fauci.
All right, and then I don't want to spend too much time on this, but Sally Quinn was on CNN the other day. You know who she was married to Ben Bradley, the Washington Post, and she wrote a book called Happy Endings, which was a sequel to her first book called, I can't find the title here, but and one of the characters was a guy named he was a doctor, and she based him on Anthony Fauci, who she met like 30 years ago. Wow. And she was going on and on about how sexy. Just I'll read you. We just sort of immediately got into a very intense conversation, and I just found him riveting and unbelievably attractive and charismatic. I just thought, wow, this guy. I just thought he was really sexy, and I'm like, and I went back and looked at pictures of him, 30 years ago. I'm sorry. I mean, Phil Rizzuto. Yes, he looked like him then. But what do you think? Do you get it?
No.
Here's the thing that's so bad. Like, this is what I always say about online dating. Like, pretty much any of my boyfriends that I ever had, probably if I just saw a two-dimensional photo of them, I don't know that I'd be like, oh, I got to go out with that guy. There's something being in person with and their personality and it's their personality, it's their magnetism.
Yeah.
And that you can't, sometimes you can sense it in a photo, but sometimes you just can't at all. And that's why I feel bad. I don't, at my age, nobody looks that great. So I flip by lots of basically everybody. Bumble is so proud of me. Look at you. You went through everybody.
It's not a test, Anita. You can actually click on one.
I don't see anybody I want to click on. And and then I got a few likes, not many, but a couple, and 14 now, over the course of a week. You always get a lot when you first sign on. And
I think after this show you'll be getting a lot more.
No, I don't think so. I think maybe so. Less. But I did.
So basically, what we're saying is Anita needs a date. So whoever is watching and single and good looking and a scientist, hook her up.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be all right.
And she's not locked into the scientist thing either. I mean, it's not a deal breaker.
But getting back to Fauci, okay, I look at him and he doesn't attract me at all. But there are women who think, who look at, it must be that he was, his brain. So some women actually are brain fuckers. They're so smart. They're like, I want, that turns me on. That doesn't do it for me. I like a nice built dumb guy. That's not my husband. My husband is very good looking and smart and built, but but that was always, when I was in high school, I always liked the stupid dumb guy who was built like a weightlifter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I never dumb people. I can see Fauci being charismatic, hot, not so much. That's Jeff. Jeff's a good guy.
Yes.
So Anita, can you tell us how you got back? Because it's such an interesting, albeit heartbreaking story at times.
Oh, okay. Well, the reason I left was, there were a lot of reasons, but ultimately I moved back east from LA to be with a former boyfriend who then eventually became my husband. And it just was really hard to do comedy from the Central Jersey, which is where I am.
Right.
I was going into New York, but it was like, hours on the train and money, and it just was really hard. And this is kind of funny, him. I was trying to. This is back, it was a while ago. It was when you had 800 numbers.
Oh, okay.
You had 800 numbers, so people didn't know where you were. So I had an 800 number. And I was just calling around to let people know I was back, and I was not particularly anxious for them to know I was only in Central Jersey, not Manhattan, or New York. So I called Roger Paul just to say I'm back east now, and he's a booker. And so we're talking, what you been doing? And I'm like, trying to make it like everything's going great. And all of a sudden he says, "Is that a chicken I just heard?" And it was. There's a chicken in the backyard of the house next to us, just going in the middle of my phone call. So it was like, at that moment, my heart sank. I'm like, this isn't going to work, So
right.
Little by little, I can't even tell you when I stopped. It just sort of trailed off. Judy Gold had me come out and do some shows with her, which was great. But I wasn't seeking work, and I wasn't getting work, and I just I got involved in my husband's business, and I mean his store, and we ended up opening up our own business, which was pretty fun. We imported really cool lighting from Italy and sold it to hotels and casinos. It was really fun. We went to Europe a lot, and it was going great till the recession hit. And so anyway, we were going along, and then he died. Basically, he got sick and died about 4 years ago, and we had moved in with his mother in this house because she was getting older. So then I was taking care of her and also trying to run the store that they had, the family store, and it was a really rough 6 months. And then she died. She went in hospice, and we were caretaking her, me and her. I'll call her a niece. She's family by association, and then finally she died like 5 months to the day after he did, and then I was in the kitchen and I was changing the calendar page to July, and July was empty. There were no doctor appointments. There was nothing at all in July, and it just sort of hit me that I was entering a new chapter of my life, that all the caretaking, my parents, my husband, my mother-in-law, they were all gone, and now it was kind of me. And right at that time, Jerry Diner had died. He was a beloved comic that we all knew. So there was a little memorial service for him at Comedy Works in Bristol. And so out of the blue, Scott LaRose called me. I haven't talked to him in 30 years. I didn't even know him well. I knew him, but we weren't like buds or anything. I don't even know how he had my number, but he said, "Can you pick us up at the train? I'm coming in with Gordon." Remember Gordon Silva?
Yeah, of course.
So these two guys get off the train. Scott is tall and thin with jeans, a white shirt, and a jacket. And Gordon is shorter and a little wider with jeans, white shirt, and a jacket. And both of them more neurotic than the next. And they got in the car, and it was just insane. And anyway, we went to the memorial service. I saw people. You were there, Julia, weren't you?
Yep, I was.
And I saw all kinds of people I hadn't seen in a long time. And then I finally took them back to the train after more hilarity. They're nutcases, both of them. And as I watched them get back on the train, I was like, I missed this. And I decided I'm going to do comedy again. And I just decided I'm just going to do it again.
Yeah.
Or try anyway. So that's what happened.
How long were you out for? How long were you not doing it?
About, let's see, 16. See, I'm not really sure when I stopped. Probably early 2000s I stopped. So I would say a good 15 years.
And how was it coming back that first time, like after not doing it for all these years?
Oh, well, I skipped a part that was really cool that happened. Okay, so 2 years earlier, in 2014, I had reconnected on Facebook with a former agent. And we didn't really, it's just, we were now Facebook friends, and I'd see his posts and stuff. We weren't really talking that much, a little bit, but not much. And then out of the blue, one day he writes, "Are you available to open for Joy Behar at the Venetian in August?" This was like April.
I remember that.
Yep.
I was like, what? And I was like, oh my God, And I mean, I hadn't thought of doing stand-up. I was still married. We were still doing our business and everything. But TJ always wanted me to he never wanted me to stop doing comedy,
Right.
but it was me who wanted to. And so I was like, oh my God, just thinking about it. So I didn't answer right away. And the next day he wrote, hello. So I said, I really thank you for this opportunity. It's like it made me really excited, but it's not part of my life now. And then he shot back, it's only 20 minutes. And I said, okay. And then I was like, what did I do? Oh my God. It's like so freaked out.
She called me. We spoke right before you said that. You remember you were telling me you were gonna not do it. And I'm like, are you insane? Are you just have you lost your mind?
But that's where we reconnected, Anita, because you ended up doing guest spots at the Catch at Princeton. And and that's where we reconnected. And I was so happy that you were back. I mean, we not that there's some, it's just nice having you back because you're just a really great comic. So to know that you came back,
thank you.
It's so nice because I always say that there are comics, and then there are people who think that there are comics. Do you know what I mean by that? And like, there's a lot of people in this business right now that think that they're comedians, and they're not. And so when somebody who like yourself leaves, you're like, wait a second, you're one of the one. You're one of them. Do not come back here. We need, because it's really a small. It really is a small little club. Do you know what I mean? Of people, and so I'm so glad you're back.
Well, thanks. I'm happy to be back.
We're in a writing group, Anita and I, with a couple of other veteran comics, and she just consistently, when we're going around trying new material, just blows us away because we're like, where is her mind getting? she's better now. I think you are, Anita, than you were at the height of your success. And you should really tell people who are watching what you've done up and prior to you leaving the business, because it's impressive.
Well, would you like me to do it so it doesn't sound like you're boasting? Okay, so well, the Tonight Show, correct? Yes.
How many?
How many Tonight Shows was it?
2.
Okay, and was it with Johnny?
One was with Johnny, and one was with Jay.
Yeah. So tell us about. So did you get to actually meet Johnny? I mean, was he? Oh, you didn't get to meet him.
No, I did it with his guest sitting next to him was Dave Letterman.
Wow!
Is that funny? Yeah,
oh
that is
God.
really ironic. Yeah.
Yep. And so, I've done a Zapruder-like analysis of the tape. There was a moment where I finish, Johnny's laughing. He looks over at Dave, and Dave quick takes a drink of his coffee, and then he looks away.
And his head went back into the left. Did his head go back into the left?
Well, kind of, yeah, right. So, anyway, so no sitting there. I don't know that I would have happened, but it was pretty cool because I did it in front of the 2 of them. I met Fred de Cordova, his producer. Jay came back for my second one. That was pretty crazy because I was in the middle of getting dressed. But he seemed to not notice that, and so that was okay. And Mary Beth saying she saw I had a pixie cut. No.
I know you had a pixie cut for one of them. Maybe it wasn't the one with the pixie cut.
Yeah, your hair was shorter at one point, Neats. Yeah,
shorter, but not
a pixie.
Like a pixie's like really short, right? No, I
Yeah,
didn't have that.
like Marie Alberghetti.
It was
cut.
like this. It
Yeah,
short,
so I think that's what she's calling a pixie cut. I think that's oh. Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Oh, Carrie, hi.
Carrie from
Hi.
Julia, did you ever
Carrie?
Did you ever play
Why is that club set? Where is that?
That was in LA.
Is it LA?
No, I only got to LA with AGT. It's the first time I'd ever been out there.
Wow.
However, if anybody wants to hire me out there, I'd be happy to go.
Okay. She's saying now it's a paid for it.
All right, that's more
something like it was like Yeah. I don't mean to argue.
This
with
is
you,
why I
but,
love
like.
I love doing these broadcasts, because people will just be like, well, wait a minute, and then we're talking about this. And so, let's see what we have. So many. How about the most embarrassing gig you've ever done? Do you have one, Anita?
Embarrassing.
Or shitty? Embarrassing / shitty gig.
Yeah. Well, there was one when I was. Well, there were very many, but there was one in particular when I first was starting. I took a comedy writing class, and then I was just going to places like you've been talking about, like Good Times and the others. And then I ended up one time at Who's on First.
Oh yeah,
Remember that little tiny room down there?
Of course.
Downstairs.
Peter
And
Spellos was the guy who booked it.
yes, he was, and he had an improv class. Anyway, I remember one night there, I bombed the death of deaths, and it was the kind of bombing that people cringe when they think about, like, what that must be like. That's what it was like. It was
Wow.
like, oh my God, this is the worst feeling ever. So I don't know what happened exactly. I just knew that people felt bad for me,
Oh,
and that I was
Oh,
getting
that's-
it was like,
Yeah.
it was like horrible.
oh, that's worse than being booed.
Yeah, it's when they
It was horrible. I can't even tell you. It was like cry all the way home, horrible. And then at a certain point, there came a time, I don't know when exactly, but much later, that I was bombing, and I had like another third eye or something going, oh, look, you're bombing. You know, it was like an out of body experience. And it was like a comic in the back of the room. Yes,
Flop
yes,
sweat bombing, yeah.
flop sweat bombing, right? And that time it was like, you know how comics laugh in the back of the room when you're bombing?
Right.
It's sort of a nervous laugh, but it's also a sympathy laugh, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a joyful laugh because they don't like you.
Because it's not, it's Schadenfreude on their part.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
tell people, we got
Whatever
to tell
it
people
is,
what the
when you're
civilians what
bombing,
flops,
the
yeah, what
comics
flop
laugh.
sweat
They might be
is.
the only,
Yeah.
they might be the only people laughing, but
Yeah, Julia, tell the civilians what flop sweat is.
Flop sweat is when you're on stage, and as Anita said, you know you're bombing, and right in the middle of your back, it starts a little bit starts a little bit below the shoulders, right around the lungs, but right down your spine, you can feel it gets cold, the sweat, and it's cold like blood seeping from your body, and it just runs down your
and
spine.
your face gets
And
red.
Face gets
Ugh.
red. Yeah,
And
there's
usually
no.
the flop sweat usually goes under my tits. To be honest, it's just I just feel it.
I never checked my tits. Well, they didn't have tits back then, so
Yeah,
why when I started there were no tits.
Yeah, I mean that you know, I love that you mentioned the third eye thing, because I think we all as comedians have that that, like, I've done that too, where I've been on stage, and that I call it an out of body experience, where I'm on stage and I'm actually watching myself.
Right.
Because
It's an altered state. It is an altered state.
Yeah. Because I just remember one time I was doing a gig somewhere, and I think it was at the Improv in LA, and it was for a big showcase, and it was going really well. And it was for I don't even remember what it was for, but it was going to pay a lot of money. And I was out of my body watching myself, making a list of what I was going to buy with the money.
That's it. Do you have the board of directors in your heads, though, too, ladies? I just, whenever I'm making an executive decision about whether I should say something or do something, there's that like split second, but they all get together at the table and they start, handing out. Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, Mike Dugan has something to say to us.
Oh.
He's right. He's right.
Thanks, Dugan. Go fuck yourself. He's saying it with love.
No, but he's right.
He is right.
It is. it is funny because you just totally know what that person's experienced.
But it's an inside thing with the comics,
But
because
exactly.
part
Because
of
we're
it-
brutal. We're brutal with each other.
Yeah.
We are
But it's
real.
also, yeah,
Go ahead.
that's one of the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Answer
go.
that.
Go, Anita.
What I love about being around other comics is you can just be free and say what comes to mind because especially if it's funny, because they understand you're just saying it because it's a funny thing.
Right.
Even if there's some truth in it,
Right.
it's still there's a freedom of being able to just
you can go as dark as you want and know that your colleagues will not judge you for it.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I have a great story that's kind of about this, but sideways, talking about how brutal we are with each other. Now, this is going back 20, 30 years ago. I was doing a gig. It was me, Nancy Parker, and Patty Rossborough. Okay?
Oh, my goodness.
Now, Patty back then used to do some props. Do you remember when Patty had props? Like she had that sex mask and she had a couple other things. But so she had a prop suitcase and she had a prop gun in her suitcase. And they stopped her, when she was going through and me and Nancy Parker just fucking took off. We left her. we were like, we don't know her. We don't know. I don't know. She's saying she's a comedian. I don't think she is. And we fucking took off, man. So when she finally got through the security and she explained that she was a comedian, she was so pissed. She was like, you motherfuckers. She goes, you weren't going to back us up. Well, of course we weren't going to back you up. We would have, if you went to jail, we would have bailed you out. But it was somewhere upstate New York. I'll never forget that. And Nancy and I went right through, and then they stopped her. We were like, see ya. Yeah. Oh, you see, Rhonda's right? So Rhonda Hanson, Patty Rossborough was a prop comic, right, Rhonda?
Yep,
yeah.
Yep.
She had, she's also one of the best. Like, we have such a nice group of female comics. She's one of my favorite people. I love her.
Patty, or I love Rhonda and Patty.
And Eddie Brill is sending his love.
Hey, Eddie.
Hey, Eddie.
Hey.
Hi, Eddie.
Oh, everybody's here. It's nice.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's great because people come up and talk, and it's so much fun. So, Julia, do you have other questions? Because we have so much to talk about. Anything?
Well, I mean, I adore Anita, and she knows how I feel about her too. So I mean, Anita, tell people about your Seinfeld.
Yes, that would be a great one. The Seinfeld.
Talk about Seinfeld. Okay.
Yeah.
What I did was this when I was in LA. It was there's pilot season, which is when a lot of pilots get made, and those are the shows where people decide whether it's going to be a series or not. And then there's people who get signed to development deals where they get reserved for a year so that someone else doesn't get them, or sadly sometimes because they're too much like someone else and they don't, whatever. I digress. Anyway, the point is that it wasn't uncommon for people I knew to get pilots. And Jerry had done one pilot for this show, Seinfeld Chronicles.
Yeah.
And people liked the show. Well, critics liked the show, but nobody had watched it. So the network did not know what to do. So instead of giving him half a season, which would have been the normal course thing, 13 episodes, they gave him 4. So I read for the part of Elaine. Elaine wasn't in the first one. I read for the part of Jerry's girlfriend. And I went in and I read with Jerry, and there were producers and casting, and Larry David was in the room. And if I ever run into him, I'm going to ask him. He said, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to be here." And and he left.
Wow.
He wouldn't stay in the room. And it's like, lest you think anything, it's like, I only know Larry. There's nothing weird that would have, he's just someone I know. I wore this before, but I didn't look cute in it. Look what I have.
Oh, wow.
The New York wow.
A New York one, or is it a
wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that? I know where you
Improv.
got it. Is
Oh,
that
the
an original?
Improv.
It's an original?
Yeah. Yeah. There was it
Oh.
was the 25th, it says it right here, 25th Silver Anniversary Reunion Bash. Oh, it was almost Sunday, April 24th, 1988. See?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
You thought
And then-
Maxwell Shelley
I
made
thought
that.
Max did it, yeah. Was that the
No.
show that Stiller and Mira were at? That they did Time and Steve Landisberg. Were you
Yeah.
at that? Was
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
same show? Yeah, I was at that show.
could,
Yeah.
could be. I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly, but I remember them being there. It was very exciting.
It was
and
very
yeah,
exciting, yeah.
Yeah, it was like really cool. Very
Yeah.
cool party.
Uh-huh.
Yep, no, that was a good party.
So did you end up getting on Seinfeld?
So yeah, so I read with Jerry. I didn't really know the whole script. They only give you like a page of the script,
Right.
but so I was an ex-girlfriend. That's all I knew. So I think I did pretty good because I got him to react. I knew that would be something. He's
Right.
not an actor. He just, but I made some choices that made him like react. So that was good. So it was a good audition. I felt all right about it. But they said, listen, we really liked you, but the character of his girlfriend is kind of bitchy. They said she's a little bitchy, and so I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's a good reason to not get picked. So I got to be the waitress, and I had lines because after that, waitresses didn't have many lines.
Mhm.
But I did 2 episodes. Jerry told me that I was married to the owner of the diner. So like it looked promising, but when they came back after the 4 episodes, they concentrated really just on the ensemble of Kramer, and the other people, they dropped all that. So
But you came back later on for another episode, didn't you, for the apartment one?
just 2 of the 4 I did in the very beginning.
Oh, in
when
the
it was
beginning,
still-
but you
yeah,
had another one later on, right? The
No.
apartment episode? That wasn't you?
that was the second. That was actually that was the first one I was in. There was
Oh, okay.
one called The Robbery, where Jerry's gonna maybe move into another apartment, and the waitress ends up getting it, and they end up at her housewarming party.
Right,
That's-
that was the one,
That's
yeah.
the first one, and then the
Okay.
second one, I just he's trying to. It's called Male Unbonding, and he was breaking up with a childhood friend that was obnoxious, and I was a waitress in that one. But what was fun was, it just was fun because it was like no pressure. It wasn't a hit at all. It was
Right.
like one of many.
Mm.
And when we broke for lunch, they tell you where to go, and there's some little room, and the door propped open, and a handwritten sign, and it said Jerry Steinfeld. And I thought they'll know how to spell that one day. And I was right about that. So
Yeah.
that was kind of cool. And then it was just funny because, I knew Larry and I knew Jerry, and I met the others, but the one who was really friendly was Jason Alexander. He was so nice. He was so friendly.
That's great.
And, of course, Larry it was fun because like the early episodes, there was stuff from Larry's act that you would recognize. You go, oh yeah, I remember that bit. And it was
Right.
people acting it out now. So that was kind of cool.
Well,
It was fun.
Yeah, what was the thing about Larry is that he hated being on stage. You remember he
Mhm.
used to he would get on
Yes.
stage and he would just start to sweat and and it's so funny to see that he's made a gazillion dollars because of his insecurities. You know what I mean?
It's really cool.
Yeah,
I remember it used to crack me up because, the MC would go out to the bar and get their burger or whatever and hang out, and they'd have a clock and a watch, and they'd know that they had 10 minutes or so before they had to go back in. Well, when Larry went on, they had to have somebody posted at the door because if he didn't like how it was going,
he'd leave.
Yeah.
the guy would go, he's gonna bail.
Yeah, yeah.
You people don't deserve me. Throw the mic on the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
That's so
MC
funny.
would come running back in with hamburger in his mouth and stuff.
Well, let's explain to the
Water David,
civilian.
everybody.
But let's explain to the civilian, because that was one of the cool things that, you used to be able, there, because now with getting a meal, sometimes it's like pulling fucking teeth to get a meal
Yeah.
when you're at a club. But they used to feed you. They used to feed you at
Yep.
the Improv. They used to feed you at the comics. You always got and it was always a burger. It was always a
Right,
burger.
you got $5
Right.
and a burger. Yeah.
Right, $5 and a burger. And that was like, when we were starting out, we were just like, we're real comedians. We're getting food, and we're, I always tell the story that when I was a regular at Catch, I lived on 71st Street and West End Avenue. So there was the 79th Street crosstown bus, and we would get the $5 for cab fare, and I would take the bus home because I wanted to save the $5 to prove that I was a comedian. You know what I mean? Like it was such a big deal for us to get that $5, and I would schlep home at 2:00 in the morning on the fucking bus.
Yeah.
Because it was 75.
But it was the best time of our lives, I think.
It was fun.
It
really was.
It really was. So listen, ladies, we're at 45 minutes. So we gotta. I know.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. This goes so fast. I did post. Nobody wanted to ask us questions today. I guess they just wanted to sit and watch us. So no one wanted to ask us questions. So we're gonna next week is Rhonda Handsome is going to
Yay! Okay.
and the week after that is Wendy Liebman.
We got it.
wonderful.
She's coming. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and because Wendy was supposed to be in both of the specials also, and then was in a terrible car accident. But we'll go into that when we see her and everything. And so I love you, ladies. This was wonderful. So Anita does not. I asked Anita. She is on Facebook. So follow her on Facebook. And
book her.
Book her. But why don't you book the three of us? How about that?
Yeah.
What a show that would be.
That would be a great show. I would just sit there and go, yeah, you guys, I'll just MC. So you guys fucking do your shit and everything. Anyway, so I love you guys, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and making comments. And we love you. This will be up once it'll be up if you want to share it and tell people about it. Ladies, be safe. I love you guys. And
love you.
Love you. Thank you so much.
We will
Thank
talk
you
soon.
so much. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.